Hello, everybody, and welcome to another review. Today we are reviewing Florence and the Machine with their album Lungs. So, yes, we had a bit of a problem last time when we did the choice, but there is a video up anyway that I've done. So you would have known that I think I said we were both quite looking forward to listening to the album, even though we didn't know too much about them. I think Brett knew a little bit more, knew a few of their songs, whereas I didn't really. So, yeah, Brett, as it was your choice, actually, before I move on to you, I just want to just say one thing. So, the album that Brett chose to listen to was the Japanese version. So, basically, a Japanese version. If you're into your music and your albums, you'll know what a Japanese bonus tracks are. So, yeah, so in Japan, a lot of albums they add on extra tracks. As I understand it, it's because albums are so expensive in Japan that people just buy them from Europe or America instead to save money. So by putting a few extra tracks on, it encourages people to buy the albums in Japan. So there were 4 extra tracks on this particular album, and we listened to all 4 of those tracks, as well as obviously the standard content on the album as well. So Brett, as it was your pick, you want to go first and tell us what you thought about the album?
Yeah, I'll go straight into it. I really like this album. Simple as that. There wasn't many songs that I didn't like. I'm guessing we'll go through each of the songs individually from there. This is my sort of more music I would listen to, I would enjoy. As you said before, I did know a little bit of Florence and the Machine and some of their songs. But yeah, generally, I really liked the album. It's definitely an album I would consider purchasing myself back at the time. The only negative I would probably say, what I did like, there were a couple of songs that were a little bit different. It wasn't all just the same. However, there were probably about 4 or 5 which were very similar. If you had to ask me, like, what were those individuals? Could you identify those songs individually? Probably couldn't. It probably all merges one type of song. But like I said before, it wasn't that I didn't like those songs. I sort of narrowed it down to sort of a top 3 that I liked from the album, and then the rest were sort of on par. Maybe ones that were slightly better than others. But yeah, that's sort of overall what I generally thought with the album, really.
Okay, so
I'd be
yeah,
really more intrigued to actually know your thoughts, Lee, because, like I said, you didn't know Florence and the Machine before. It'd be interesting to know whether you actually recognised any songs when listening to them, thinking, "Oh, actually, I have heard these songs before," and just your general take on it from having no knowledge of them at all, really.
okay, yeah. Going on to what you just said just there at the end there. So I seem to remember you did say to me, I probably will recognise some of these songs. I think the first song you said is one that I'll probably know, if I'm not mistaken. Is that quite a well-known one?
Yeah, that's generally one of their most famous songs.
Yeah. Well, I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, I didn't. The only song that I knew, and again, I don't even know if it's their version that I knew because it's a well-known song that's been covered, was You've Got the Love. That's the only song I recognised. All the other songs were completely new to me, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the album. So it's I think one of the problems is I was looking forward to it. You know, I kind of saw it as like indie pop. Yeah, indie's not really my type of thing, but you know, I don't know, indie pop potentially could have been good. So this is always one of the problems we have when you kind of look forward to an album, you have a bit of high expectancy, and then it doesn't always deliver. Whereas there are albums that you don't really expect much from, like the last one we listened to, Robot Cock, and a really amazing song came up, and I still listen to that song now. I listened to it a few times yesterday. So yeah, I think that's always kind of puts a bit of pressure on the album when you're kind of expecting something from it. Yeah, it's hard to say why I didn't like it. Like, it kind of is my type of music, although I did just say I'm not really into the kind of the indie side of things. For me, I suppose it's kind of like, yeah, indie pop, quite poppy, but has a kind of indie influence to it. I thought the way the lead singer that she sung, it was quite, it was fine. You know, the songs were quite active. A lot of things it was happening. You know, it wasn't slow, sort of somber. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I just didn't like the songs particularly. I'd say it's not so much I didn't like them, it's just I didn't like them enough for them to be of any interest to me, basically. It's not I really dislike them, if that makes sense. It's just, yeah, it's all right, but nothing out the ordinary, and no standout songs apart from one song that I have downloaded, which was the song that I just mentioned there, You've Got the Love. I'm not hugely in love with that song, and it's not their original, but it's good enough for me to say I like it and download it. So if we go through the songs individually, and then Brett, if you've got anything to say about these particular songs, which obviously you will have, because some of them you really like, then yeah, just let me know. So
yeah. I will probably say there probably won't be a lot I will need to say. The chances are I'll probably just say, yeah, it was one of the songs that I liked from the album, but there might be a couple of things I'll chip in with.
Okay, because the notes I've made, to be honest, are really poor. You like listen to them, I like want to write stuff down about them, but I don't really know what to put. But anyway, I have put something for every song. So Dog Days Are Over. This is, Brett, as what you said, quite a well-known song. I found it started off fast, then went slow, got fast again, and I wrote down interesting. Yeah. Is that one of your songs?
Yeah, so it's not one of my favourite songs of theirs, but I can see why they released as a single. I can see the appeal to it. Just wasn't one of my favourite, but nothing against it at all, really.
Okay. Second one was Rabbit Heart, which I wrote down lively. So again, kind of like I was saying about the album in general, it was a lively album. You know, there was a lot happening. The songs were quite, you know, upbeat, which I liked, but just individually the songs didn't really work for me.
So this was actually probably my favourite song on the album overall. It is a song that I was familiar with. It was a song of theirs. I was probably thinking about it. It may have been their first song I ever heard of theirs. And yeah, like I said, it was my favourite on the album, and really enjoy it.
Okay. Then we have I'm Not Calling You a Liar. I just put no, as in didn't like it.
Yeah, actually, I liked it. At least it was something a little bit different on the album, a bit slower. Yeah, but again, I had nothing really against it.
Okay. Then we had Howl, which I wrote upbeat. Again, sticking to that same theme, very kind of lively, upbeat music. Yeah.
Yeah, again, a song I liked. It's probably, again, it wasn't in one of my top three. It was probably just probably in the mid-league. So I feel like you did a football analogy before. I had my top Champions League songs, and then my mid-table songs, and then the songs below. So it was more mid-table for me. So I did like that one.
Then we had Kiss with a Fist. I wrote down different and just guitar. So I think it was just like a kind of acoustic with the guitar going on there.
Yeah, so this one again, like you, again, different. That's why I liked the album, because it was something a bit different. This was really quite more of the indie style of music. Kind of brought back memories of being in certain bars and clubs, indie style bars and clubs where this would be quite popular. To me, it almost sums up exactly what sort of the late 90s could have been like. I think there's a lot of songs like that sort of style. Just a very indie based song, really.
Okay. Then we had Girl with One Eye. I wrote down slower but livened up, I think, towards the end there.
Yeah, same. Again, song that I liked. It kind of had like a 1930s gangster style kind of vibe to it. Again, I can imagine it's a song that ends up being used in programs like that the atmosphere, background music and
Yeah.
stuff there. Again, liked it, nothing against it. Again, a little bit different as well, I suppose.
Okay. Then we had drumming song. I just wrote down not my style. Just didn't like that song.
This is obviously where we differ. So this was actually one of my top 3 that I enjoyed. Again, like, it sounded really familiar. It sounded like another song or sampled from another song, but I couldn't find what that may have been. And funny enough, when I then looked, I then saw one of the comments made was actually this among Florence fans is probably one of their favourites to ever see live in gigs and stuff, which I can probably imagine. So it'd be interesting if any Florence fans do watch this, if they want to agree or disagree with that. Because I think it's kind of, I can imagine when you have more hardcore fans of Florence and the Machine, they probably think the popular songs, probably ones that myself and you like, they'll be like, oh, they're really commercial, and this is sort of more maybe behind, if you're a real Florence fan, this is a song you sort of like and enjoy.
So would it be fair to
But
say
I did like it.
Yeah, you're talking about fans there. So would it be fair to say that you have now become a Florence and the Machine fan, where you weren't before we listened and now you are?
Don't know. It's a tough one to answer. I don't. Like I said, I enjoyed their stuff that I knew before this.
Yeah.
Still enjoyed it now. Would I go and listen to more of their stuff? Yeah, after listening to this, I probably would. Probably listen to more different albums and see what other songs there are out there. It depends what people yourself want to class as a fan. But like I said, this is my style of music. I did enjoy it. So in that sense, yeah, you could say, but would I want to buy loads of albums or go and see them live in gigs? Take it or leave it, but definitely enjoyable.
Good.
That answers that.
The next song was Between Two Lungs, which I wrote down best so far. So this song actually made it onto it kind of passed the first stage of its trial, which I then went on to listen to again to see if I was going to download it, and I decided not to. So I did like this song, but just not quite enough to download it. Maybe if I listened to it a bit more, it might grow on me. So yeah, I did like this song, to be fair. What about you, Rhett?
Yeah, I'm surprised you said that, Lee, actually. Yeah, I also, again, like with all the other songs, like that one as well. It's kind of what I've made note here. This is like one of those songs which I said earlier on, there's about 4 or 5 which sounded very similar. This was probably one of those 4 or 5 which it could have been one of many different songs. Again, nothing against it. Liked it. It was a nice, good song.
Okay. Then Cosmic Love was next. I wrote down not bad. So kind of following on from Between Two Lungs, maybe not quite as good for me as Between Two Lungs, but also I didn't mind this song. It was all right. But yeah, I have only listened to it once. Again, maybe it's one of them. If I listen to it again a few more times, it might grow on me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I generally think this whole album is probably it's something that you may need to listen to a few times to maybe appreciate more songs again, potentially. I don't know. Yeah. This song, I found it was quite similar to the drumming song, but I prefer the drumming song over that one.
Okay. My Boy Builds Coffins. I just put dislike. Didn't like that one.
Yeah, again, this is the one of those, again, who just sound quite similar to the group of similar songs that they were.
I mean, some of the lyrics on some of these songs are a bit weird, aren't they? My boy builds coffins, girl with one eye. I don't know. But okay. Hurricane Drunk. I just put average as usual. Kind of like one of just the average songs on the album.
Yeah. Again, nothing against it. It was all right. I think at this point, this is where I was finding again some of these songs will become quite similar. And because I'd already, liked a couple of songs already, they just weren't as good as the ones that I've liked already.
Okay. Then we had Blinding, which I just put down poor. Again, didn't like this one.
Yeah, I've just put sort of a slower version of the similar songs that have been already, really.
Okay. Then we've got You've Got the Love. So I wrote down recognizable, best song perhaps. So I think the issue with this one, like I said, I did download this song. This would be my favorite song on off the album. But again, is it the fact that I just know the song, that it's already kind of there, that I don't, it doesn't have to make an impression on me because I already know it. This is the kind of disadvantage that all the other songs, not just on this album, but all the other songs on any album are always going to have, because you listen to the first time and, you know, does that make sense? You kind of you have to get a feel for it. Whereas if a song comes on that you already know and you already know you kind of quite like it, it doesn't really have to do anything because it's already there. You already know it.
Yeah, that's totally good. And that's why I was interested to still get your thoughts on the album, if there were certain songs that you didn't know already. Because like I said, there's a couple of songs I did know, like I said, for Rabbit Heart. And again, straight away, because I recognised it, because I knew I liked it, I was trying to, you know, think, okay, did I actually? And I did still realise that. So I totally get what you're saying with that there. And we've talked about this before with cover songs, and it's hard to know, is it also a really good song because the original is such a good song? Have they made it a good sort of cover? That's sort of one of my, so You've Got Love was then my third and final favourite song from the album. Against nothing against the original, because obviously I really like the original. I think the original is a bit more, from what I should have listened to it, a bit more dancey, a bit more, I think it sort of stays at the same level, but with the Florence one, it kind of goes a bit more sort of upbeat and, you know, dramatized and gets all really.
Well, you know what? I think that's kind of their style, isn't it? The way it kind of becomes more upbeat and then becomes quite dramatic. I think that's generally the way they do things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's, yeah. So again, actually, there is actually another cover version that Florence has done with Dizzy Rascal.
Right.
I think they did it once performing on the Brits. And I think it's called You've Got the Dirty Love. So it's got Dizzy Rascal doing a song and then mixed in with Florence, You've Got the Love. I would suggest, Lee, when you get a chance to maybe have a listen to that one. I generally think you would also like that version as well, really.
Okay. Then we moved, that was the end of the standard album. So then we had the 4 extra Japanese edition songs. Let's have a look at them. So the first one was Bird Song Intro, which I haven't got it in front of me, but it was just very short. It was the introduction to the Bird Song, which followed next. I just wrote down no comment. I don't know. It's like, I don't know what the point of that was.
Yeah, it was all just part of one song, really. Whether they were told by the Japanese CD company they have to put at least 4 songs, like, well, we've only got 3. Let's just.
That might have been it, you know. Yeah.
Which you know is not the case, because they had so many different versions of this album that we could have picked from. There was loads of other different songs there. Yeah, I don't know the reason for that. I just put it to me as just the Bird Song. Right. And again, just a nice, enjoyable song.
Yeah, Bird Song for me, I just put down not really. Didn't really like that very much, to be honest. Then we had Are You Hurting the One You Love? Notes I've got down for that, not bad, but repetitive. From what I remember of that, it was the same. They kept repeating the same words over and over again. But it was all right.
Yeah, again, nothing special. It was an all right song. I kind of wish maybe this song was in replace with one of the similar songs from the main part of the album. Again, just have something a little bit different to it as well.
Okay. And then the last song, Falling. Arguably, I would say this was the most interesting song on the album. Not because I liked it, I didn't, but just looking at my notes here, I wrote down good start, over dramatic, unusual. I just found it, just an interesting song from the way it went. Like I said, I didn't particularly like it, but kind of appreciated its unusualness, if you like. What do you think of that one?
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like a nice way to end the album. Sort of like, although having all that hype and big ballads of songs to sort of bring things to an end. I liked it. That was probably then my sort of higher end of liked songs. So they were probably in like the higher mid-table section there of that song, really. Yeah, again, a little bit very different. Nice way to end the album. Quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. So what I would say is, going back to your beginning of what, your introduction when you were reviewing the album. I do agree with you, even though we have different opinions. Like, you like the album, I didn't. I do think as well that your criticism was that it was a little bit similar in parts, but it was also different in parts. And I agree with that. I think there was variation, but at the same time, there was a lot of similarity as well. But yeah, overall, not for me. I mean, potentially, I still think I could like Florence and the Machine. I'm not going to listen to their other albums, but I could listen to them, and I might like some of their stuff potentially. But just with those particular songs, most of them anyway, I didn't really, not really for me. But it could have been for me, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's like, it's not so much the style I don't like. I just think the individual songs didn't quite do enough for me, maybe.
Yeah, I get that. So I think it's quite unique as well. It's very distinctive. I think if you were to ever, it's here for Florence and the Machine song came on, you probably would recognise. I think, oh, this is probably Florence and the Machine. So they've definitely got that style with that. I generally think, I think if you listen to more of their other stuff, without listening to it myself, I can probably imagine you probably still wouldn't like it, because I think that is what they're about. That's their style. That's
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't mind the style. It's just, for whatever reason, the songs didn't quite do it for me. But I'm just saying, I could imagine me liking some of their stuff. I don't know. Maybe it is the style that I don't like. I'm not sure, but yeah. Another thing as well, I was reading about the lead singer. So she would have been in the same school year as me. So that's always a good thing. I like kind of people that are the same age. A bit like Charlotte Church as well. She also would have been in the same school year as me. We almost could have picked her as well. So that's good. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about Florence and the Machine. What about you, Brett? Are we done?
Yeah, pretty much. I think covered it from the start. I will probably add, I did have a quick look to see how well the album, because it seemed like in the UK it was a very popular album, and there was like a 10th anniversary version we could have picked and regarded quite well. But across the rest of the world, again, it seemed to, a bit like sort of our opinions here. There are some places, some countries actually it got really high in the charts, others really low. Same with some of their singles that came out. Some actually got really high in the charts, some didn't. So it does seem to be quite mixed there. But I said overall for me, it is my style that I quite enjoyed. Would happily purchase the album. And I think maybe if I listen to it a bit more times, I might either like some of those songs a bit more or get more used to them. And yeah, I think that's what I can really say. Finish off there with Florence and the Machine.
Okay. Well, I think that was a fairly detailed review we gave of Florence and the Machine. What's the album called again? I keep calling it Bones. It's not called Bones, is it? Lungs. That's the one. Lungs. That's the one. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed our review today. That's all from us. We will be back on Wednesday with the next random artist. So see you guys on Wednesday.